because I'm just starting. So my name is Taylor Victoria Holcroft. So basically, I'm a French and British author. So I was born in France. I'm currently living in the UK. What else? So basically, what else do I am? So basically, I'm writing, like, I'm the main author of the series Free Expensive Lies. So it's the story of a master manipulator. Um, master manipulator who's basically like using her skills to try to save her girlfriend from a human trafficking scheme. Basically, I inspired myself from the Epstein affair, mostly because, there were like many, many things on this. And other than that, I'm also a student pilot and I am also a model. So that's basically everything I do.
A wide variety of things that keep you busy.
Well, I've got plenty of things that keep me busy, I'll be honest.
My
So, yeah.
my first question is, what drew you to writing?
Uh, So basically, I'm writing since like super young. I mean, I started writing when I was 6 or 7. So, I mean, it's nothing new, but like everyone, I mean, like some people had like difficult childhood, like difficult parents' background and anything. So back in the days in France, like writing helped me to basically like, escape hardship. It basically helped me to try to, like go to different universities, try to go to, you know, trying to basically think about something else. And I grew up and then I started developing, like different characters and different. And when you grow up, like you become a teenager, you've got like your I mean your body's changing.
Mm,
In my case, was a bit different because of the fact that I'm transgender, but that's something else. And apart from this, so basically it was like mostly to escape, hardship. And then I developed Charlotte's. Basically on the day I turned 18, and since then working on it, still working on it, and it's been now 11 years, 12 years nearly actually. And so that's it.
and there's always this type of the fondness of escapism into your own like world and with your own characters as well that sort of draw you into writing as well.
Yeah, it's like mostly like escape from reality and escape from uh I mean, yeah, escaping from life, because that's what we also read, that's why we
Yeah.
write. We need to, because the world is difficult as it is, right? And
Yeah.
we need to have something, like to free us for a bit of time, for just an instant, for just, a moment to try to refocus on ourselves. And writing basically is that to me. So,
Definitely.
yeah.
How did you choose which character to center your story around?
So I inspired myself from basically many, many, so many stories that I heard, many stories that I lived myself as well. It was, I mean, there were like plenty of things. Like Charlotte, for example, was, I mean, I'll be honest, like based on my own story. I think we're all manipulators in some extent. I'm probably not as skilled as her, even though I'm writing the plot, so it could be questioned. Uh, um, but many characters, like for example, like Charlotte's girlfriend, who's Charlotte's wife actually, based on, like my own story.
Mm,
Charlotte's best friend is also based on someone I knew back in the days and who truly marked me. So it's basically like from all these stories, and all the time I hear something, I'm taking from one bit, and it's like
yeah.
adding, building, building up, and that's basically how I built my characters.
like shaping the main cast of your story as well, sort of from personalities and how of friends
Yeah,
that inspire you as well.
yeah, yeah. It's friends, but there's also like, like stories I hear, or I also write in a coffee, I also, I mean, work in a coffee shop as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like I hear so many stories from,
You would.
uh, sometimes funny, sometimes a bit less, but the less funny, I'm trying to avoid it. But the funny stories, I'm always, when you work in a coffee shop, you always see funny things. Let's be
Yeah.
honest, and it's and same at my school as well. Same at so that's basically yeah. It's,
What's your process for writing your book? Do you plot or you sort of like let your characters guide you along your plot line?
so basically, well, it's like different process. So, for example, Free Expensive Lies one. So, all the battles I have lost. It was like a 10 years work.
Mhm.
So it took me like a long time. So when I started working on it, I had like an idea as to what I wanted to write. And then the idea changed over my own situation as well, over my activities and everything. So it was basically like a long, long process. Then after how I work on a daily basis is like when I'm coming back home after work, basically. I always like switch on, like with my own pod, I've got like classic FM. I'm listening to it like a lot. I love classic music and just just like completely disconnecting from everything, switching off everything, and just like for 1 or 2 hours with my laptop, and I just write. That's it. I just like don't think about anything else. I just try to avoid, um, like different disturbing things such as work, obviously, and Instagram,
Yeah.
online, and everything. So it's distractions, like trying to reduce distractions, and but yeah, mostly like working with classic music because I love classic music, and and that's how I do like every day, just like writing as much as I can, and that's it.
Music always has a good way to sort of tune you out into like scenes or what you're trying to write onto, so you can sort of like ignore everything else as well.
Yeah. Mm.
How did you go about building your world and your characters?
To mixing my world with characters.
Hmm.
Well, basically, like when I've got something on my mind, like when I hear something, I've got like my, like on my phone, I've got like the notes app. It's full of strange stuff. I mean, if I get arrested, it's gonna be like I'm gonna be like really questioned for this. But it's more like some things that when I see something, I'm always thinking like, hey, that's a good thing, And I'm like, it's always like, like this sort of things, and it's always like, and so basically how I adapt it, I'm like, when I'm on my way, when I'm like taking the tube or something, I'm like just rereading my notes, and I'm like, this could go quite well in that scene, or this could go quite well in that chapter, and so on and so on. So it's basically like how I in introduce like the scenes and everything, or sometimes it's just like silly things I heard. Like I'm really well into dark humor, in my book, and I mean not dark humor as long as it's respectful, obviously, but it's like my main character is not really politically correct in some
Yeah.
ways, so it's like she can be like very blunt, and sometimes when I hear, like, for example, I've got my friends, she's really, like into this into this like blunt person,
Mhm.
and when I hear something like so funny from her, I'm like, come on, this is gonna end up in my book, and she's like, yeah.
How do you keep track of all your characters? Do you have like a character profile, or do you have like a notebook, or is it just in like your notes to keep track of the characters in your book?
So it's basically in my notes, and it's also like I'm using a lot my memory to
Hmm.
try to make sure. But sometimes when, like for example, right now I'm currently writing on the third opus, and so I've got like all the books like behind in my bookshelf, and I'm like just like reopening it, and I'm like just searching from what I have been written, I have been writing already. And
Hmm.
depending on that, obviously, I've got, you know, uh, just like, okay, this has been said. So I'm trying to not using it and trying to, there's this thing. I've got also my editors helping me as well. And now, especially since, so I know it's controversial to say that, but we've got like many new technologies and AIs, and I'm using it. I mean, I'm not ashamed to say it. I think it's a fantastic tool that we have, and it's good to make the most of it because we've got like powerful tools today to make sure that we can make like the best, and that's one of the things. But I'm trying to working less with it and trying to like staying focused. I mean, it's been 10 years that I'm working on this. 10 years
Hmm.
ago we didn't have AI, so
Yeah, definitely
it's
not.
yeah. So that's one of the things, but I love yeah, basically like my notes, and sometimes like I'm just adding or modifying this
Mhm. Did you have a
depending.
favorite scene to write?
Sorry about that. If you can
That's
just cut this.
Did you have a
Sorry.
favorite did you have a favorite scene to write in um your book?
So this came in this one basically. Sorry
Mhm.
again. Sorry
That's
about that. If you can just cut
that's
this
all
at when you're gonna. Sorry.
that's all
Um.
right.
So I had like this scene like recently that I wrote in in the one I'm writing now. It's the third opus. It was quite interesting scene. So the scene is like all about this. So Charlotte is like trying to hunt down a CEO of a big company. So basically, like in the end of the second opus, she's been held by basically a deputy prosecutor in France who turned out to be a pimp,
Mhm.
and she's going back against everybody because she's got a lot of money, let's be honest. So she's going back, and she managed to track down like one of her main detractor, and she traps him in an airplane basically before takeoff. And so that scene was quite interesting because I literally unleashed the worst that could be in her. So
Yeah.
like the least human possible, because she's like focused on business and regardless of the human side, because it's just all about revenge. And
Mhm.
that's what basically she was after in that scene. So there was like this scene in the second. I loved actually the moment where her wife proposed her on wedding, because it's um it's quite a intimate scene, but it's like a powerful scene, it's like pure declaration of love. So it goes in contrast into the person who she is in business and the person who she is in her private life. So that's
Mm.
one of the things. And yeah, the first one, my favorite scene was when she saves her girlfriend. So it's like in the end, but if people want to read it, I'm not gonna say more about this.
Don't want to give too many spoilers.
Not gonna give spoilers, no.
Which of your characters do you relate to the most and why?
Besides Charlotte, my favorite character, I would say it's in the second and third opus, it will be Vazara Romeka. So she's like basically one of her colleague, and together they went into a lot of hardship. So they are like super close friends all the time. There's something to do. They're always together. It turns out that in some events that will come, she will have like different allegiance, but they will still be forever. I mean, in at least in the second and third opus. The second, she arrives till the end, but she becomes like quickly a main character. What I love with her is that she's uh she's honest and she's like straightforward.
Mm.
So that's she's honest and she's like loyal. It's all about loyalty with her. So that's what I love basically with Azala.
How has writing and publishing books changed the way you see yourself?
Um, so I started it 10 years ago in my bedroom in France. I was just like a teenager, and it was like, like back in the days, I was just like doing something like completely new. And I wanted to have it published, but I was like, it needs to be worked, it needs to be, and I need to add my touch. I'm not like really, you know, I'm blunt, like if I've got to say something, I'm saying it. And that's basically like I remember my wife who read it, the first one told me that it looks like Stephen King's work in the way he is actually.
Mm.
And even like she knows me, so sometimes she knows that I can get to trouble because of my attitude. I mean, the thing that I'm French must be playing, I believe. Um, but it's so I started it and I was like, publishing it is like sharing like one of your most intimate thought to the world.
Yeah,
So it's more like something that you kept it for yourself, you're now sharing it.
yeah.
So it's something that your very own hard work, your very own things are like it's like out now and people are reading it, people are judging it, people are enjoying it, or people are hating it. It depends. Um, but it was like it sets you free in a way. It really sets you free. So that's one of the things.
Are there any books or authors that inspired you in your writing?
So basically what I'm mostly writing is like nonfiction. What I'm mostly reading is nonfiction. I'm not really reading much fiction, considering that obviously considering my other schedule, it can be tight sometimes. Um, I used to love Stephen King, and when I was younger, I used to love Agatha Christie a lot for like the investigative point of view and things that she did, and like The Crime of the Orient Express was one of my favorites when I
Mm.
was younger. Um, then after, I'm mostly watching films, and some characters can be like uh good, like idea to bring some things to the book, and that's mostly what I do. Um, yeah.
Is there any advice you would offer a writer working on their first book?
Mm, yeah. And it would be, I believe, the same as my instructor told me, like it's if you want to do it, just do it. It's like there's there is nothing hard in it. It's more like it's super easy as long as you've got the idea and the willing to go. It's just do what you love, and in the end is that's the best advice I would give to anyone in this, because you don't start something, you won't start something at home if you don't love it. It's Let's be real. So on this, I believe that's the best advice, and like my instructor would say, have the guts to do it, and that's it.
There's always you need to be in love with something to carry it and do the
Of
many
course.
years it might take you to write and complete
If
a
you
book
if you,
as
if
well.
you don't if you don't love what you do, there's no point.
Yeah.
There is no point at all. Like just like do what you enjoy, and after all, like people will judge you probably, but at least you did it. At
Yeah,
least you dared to do it. And that's that's the best advice I would give to someone who's starting writing. Yeah, yeah, definitely.
perfect advice, honestly. Everyone needs to hear it.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite writing snack or drink?
Uh, so snack, basically, I have to stop it. So it's like I used to have a favorite. So basically, I love like these apple tartlets, but it's like according to the scale, I cannot have it anymore. So that's
Oh no.
yeah,
You could
it's
just ignore the scale as well.
yes, but I cannot really ignore the photos that come out of it. So that's that's the thing. And same, I used to tell myself that it's not the tartlets that are the problem, but the scale has a problem. So that's what
Mhm.
I tell myself. But in the end, I realized that one is more stubborn than the other. Uh, then after for drinks, I love to. I mean, it's like soda is not good to drink that. I drink a lot of 7 Up, but sugar free. So because I
It's
don't know, it
healthy, but
might be
it's healthy.
saving.
It's healthier.
It's healthier, at least. It's still not good, but healthier. So yeah.
And my final question is, who's been the biggest supporter of your writing?
Definitely my grandmother. Um, which is quite funny because my grandmother's French. So I I I had it translated for her because it was like a lot from like like translating from English to French, and especially with everything like what she loved, for example, was like recently I wrote the story of so it's called The Mysterious Death and Life of a Millennial. It's the story of a vampire who's trying to find love
Mm.
in our society. So vampire finding love, and it's a bit funny, but and I mean, she supported me straight from the beginning with Charlotte, but she loved the last one because she told me like this is definitely you, like it's like you unfiltered, so I was like, yeah, I know.
Thank you for that.
Well, but it was she's always been there, she's always, when I asked her for help, she was always here. But she raised me with always been super close, my grandmother and I, and so basically, despite the fact that now I live in the UK and she lives in France, it has its challenges, but hopefully she's here. I mean, I touch wood. She's the best human being there is on this planet. She's like my number one supporter, and yeah.
You always need the family
Oh yeah,
support and the people closest to
yeah.
you to support you and sort of
Of
cheerlead you
course.
on.
Yeah. And considering that she knows me well, so she's not really surprised by my writings. So
That's
in
good.
the end,
You don't have to hide anything from her.
no, 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 no. She knows me already, so that's cool.